All right, guys. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the delegates from around the world. Thank you for joining. It's been maybe a month or so, maybe a couple of months since we've done a delegate sync call, but thought it would be a perfect time to do one with the launch of mainnet beta. So, today's agenda, what we want to walk through is several things. So, first, talking about mainnet beta. Um, Reviewing kind of the request to update to the new version of version 0.9.1 as soon as possible. Um, this was not the same as 0.9.0, so this was actually um, incompatible change that we launched, I think, a few days ago. So please make sure to upgrade as soon as possible, meaning now, to version 0.9.1. I'll let Rowland explain more. Then we want to talk about the core features of mainnet beta, talking about native IoTeX staking, which should be very relevant for the delegates, and also sharing more about Hermes, which is now a stable rewards auto distribution tool for delegates. So we already have about 6 or 7 delegates using it. I want to share more delegates to use it in the future. Then we want to talk about some of the DApps that are live on the IoTeX network, both from the IoTeX Foundation and from the community. Then we want to share a little bit about the Trusted IoT Alliance and IoTeX, some things that we've been working on together, different initiatives, including reference architecture for blockchain and IoT, and also some work with the World Economic Forum. And then finally, we want to share some things about upcoming releases, decentralized identity, which will be very big, and UCAM, which will be our first privacy-focused, privacy-enabled consumer IoT product, debuting at CES and being sold on Amazon very shortly. So with that, if you want to follow along with these slides, I've dropped the slides in the Zoom chat, the Discord delegates channel, and the Telegram delegates channel. So please do follow along. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Rowland to walk through mainnet beta.
Morning, everyone. Rolling from IoTeX here. So let's talk about the mainnet beta, which we launched last week. It's pretty very cool. Next slide, please. So for the mainnet beta, it's basically like incremental improvement on top of mainnet alpha, right? So we list out some core features which has been implemented, and some of them will be activated very soon, this week or next week. So the first one is definitely native IoTeX stacking. I will have separate slides to explain what does that mean, right? The second one is consensus delegate pool. So we expand the pool from 12, 24 to 36 in August. So we are also thinking about even make this more, decentralized in the future, probably 48. Another one is upgraded virtual machine. Like all you know, we launched with UVM version that supports Solidity 0.4, 0.24 up to, right? But we do receive some feedbacks from the developing community saying we want to use like later version of Solidity, and can you guys please support? Then yeah, we did it. Okay, so you can join like all the new features of UVM. Next one is cross-chain transfer. So this one, we always have this cross-chain capability. Like the day we launch the mainnet, basically we do stake voting on Ethereum, but we enjoy all the governance results on the native blockchain. So that's one. Another one we did actually is pretty interesting with NUSD. It's more like a kind of POC. Is we can transfer NUSD, is a type of stablecoin, from Ethereum to native IoTeX blockchain. So this feature has been implemented, deployed, but still at an experimental stage right now. So once it's stabilized, also like it's super useful, we will open to public. Everybody can use it. So then we did some optimization on the data storage. We understand like you guys want to reduce the cost in terms of that data transferring, data storage. So we have 40x improvement on storage and 10x improvement on syncing. The next one is XRC20 token standard. There are like quite a few XRC20 tokens running on top of IoTeX blockchain right now. Then we have to make sure our toolchain, in terms of IOPay, Explorer, the backend, the API, whatever, everything, to support XRC20 tokens pretty well. So feel free to issue your own tokens to try it out. The last one will be activated actually, I think in about 8 or 7 days. It's faster block production. As we launch alpha, we have this 10 seconds as a block period. Every 10 seconds you produce a new block. But as we stabilize the protocol, we found there is a huge room for improvement. Then we just cut off 10 seconds to 5 seconds, right? So that's easily we can do. Then I think once this feature gets activated, so you will enjoy a faster block production experience. So if you're going to go through the full feature, feel free to go to the link which is given below. It basically says everything we have. Next slide. So once spend probably 2 minutes on this native staking, which is a very, very important milestone for IoTeX blockchain. So we break down this one into 2 phases. Phase 1 is more like a hybrid phase, which is what we have, or what will be activated actually in about a few days, is what we call hybrid, meaning we still do the Ethereum type of staking voting because we understand lots of our stakers and voters are live on Ethereum right now, but we open support for a native staking and voting, right? So starting from this height, 164.1601. Once this feature gets activated, so the native stake voting will also be supporting IOPay, voting pool, and even Trust Wallet, and probably some big exchanges as well. All the votes from Ethereum and all the votes from native blockchain will be summed up and to calculate who's the delegates, who's producing blocks, and how to distribute the reward. There are 3 very distinguishing features we have on the native side of the staking. The first one is we increase the maximum staking period to 3 years, roughly 3 years, which is 350 months, right? So that's also according to the feedback we got from the community. The second one is you can now add IoTeX, of course, native IoTeX, into an existing bucket. As you guys all understand bucket, right? In the previous version, we are a little bit conservative, so we want the bucket, once it's created, no one can change the bucket. No one can put a new IoTeX token into the bucket. But later we found this may not be necessary. We can make it more open, more user-friendly. It's more like you deposit some changes into the bucket all the time to make your bucket grow little by little, which is a very a wonderful experience, right? So that's why we decide to have this feature in our native staking. The third one is even more interesting. It means the bucket can be transferred to another person if needed, right? Which means you create a bucket, you can deposit change into the bucket, right? And bucket will keep growing. And at a certain time, you say, I don't want own this bucket anymore. I want maybe give it to my, I don't know, friends, or I want to sell it to another guy. So basically, so you can transfer the bucket. And with this feature, we are thinking about, to enable this feature of a trade over the bucket potentially, but this will take some time. But keep in mind, this may come. Okay, so that's phase 1, right? Phase 2 will basically come in Q1, Q2 next year. It's basically trying to, migrate from the pure Ethereum type of staking to pure native type of staking. We're now in the middle. We are eventually going to, deprecate Ethereum part of staking and voting and move everything to the native. But that will take some time, I understand. So we will give it probably 3 to 6 months. Next slide. Yeah, Hermes. So with this native staking enabled, and also a big exchanges will switch to the native IoTeX token, we strongly encourage everybody to use Hermes to distribute the reward to your voters, right? I know some delegates are very diligent in terms of distributing the rewards. They do it like on a daily basis. There are few of them really appreciated in term on behalf of our voters, right? But lots of you guys, maybe it's too complicated, or maybe sometimes forget, to distribute the rewards to your voters. But how to address this headache? So Hermes basically is the ultimate solution to this problem. So you can connect your rewarding address to Hermes, and Hermes will handle everything automatically behind the scene, right? It will calculate who are your voters for this period of time, how much, given, for example, giving like 100 IoTeX as a total reward, how much I should give to my voters, how much I should keep myself. Everything automatically happens on the native IoTeX blockchain. So you have like a zero trouble to maintain this one. And also for now, till the end of this year, it's basically in a more, like an internal type of testing mode. So everything is free, so you don't have to, worry about the cost. If you have any question, feel free to ping me, feel free to ping our engineer and also product manager who's in charge of this one. So that's about Hermes. Okay, with this, I guess I'm going to pass it back to Larry. So Larry will walk you through some of the very cool apps we have on mainnet beta right now.
Thanks, Ralph. So yeah, I want to talk about, with mainnet beta launch, it's a great milestone for the blockchain, but we're also starting to see a lot of new activity as far as transactions and dApps launch in the IoTeX network. So to start with some you may be already familiar with, we have several IoTeX Foundation kind of sponsored dApps running. So the first one is IoPay. First one is the IoTeX desktop wallet and mobile wallet. This is getting a lot more mature as time goes by. So it's already available on Google Play and on APK. So you can go to iopay.iotex.io to download that. Basically sending tokens, as Roland mentioned, native staking and voting for delegates using native IoTeX will be done through the desktop wallet. It's going to function a lot similar, very similar to how MetaMask is kind of the tool that's used to stake ERC20 IoTeX. So this will be kind of the wallet that you'll use to stake with native IoTeX. You can also interact with XRC20 tokens like Vita, deploy smart contracts. And if you haven't checked out the latest version, we've made some great enhancements to the security and usability. So really recommend that everyone check out IoPay. Here's the website just to show you what the website looks like. Nice little mobile app user interface, so definitely check out IoPay. The next one is obviously VitaMart. So VitaMart has also gone through a nice facelift, both from the UI, but also the experience perspective. So we've launched VitaMart in the US as the first market, and have gotten really great feedback from our suppliers of these products. So they are interested in now looking into the next market to expand into. But even in the US market, we're making a lot of interesting progress. So here's what VitaMart looks like nowadays. There's a lot of different products here that are sponsored by our manufacturing and distributing partners. So as you can see, a lot of these items are sold out. So if you guys are in the States, or folks that are in the States, definitely check out the new and improved VitaMart. So we've also added a lot of great features around the usability of VitaMart. So the flow is much more intuitive now. As you can see, we kind of made it easy for people to test different products. So VitaMart is going to be branded in the future as a product testing and giveaway program. So basically how it works is you join a product testing slot. For example, I have some here that I just walked through. So this specific order was for a mini projector. And as you can see, I tested the product, I purchased the product, and I submitted the product review, and I'm all set to get my reimbursement for VitaMart. So this is a very interesting experience for everyone. Definitely recommend people to check it out, and it should be coming to a market near you very soon.
Okay,
And
just want to chime in here, right?
mhm,
So as you can see the diagram on the right, basically Vitamart is entering into like a growing phase, which is very, very cool. I'm personally very excited for the outcomes of this one. We have actually all these users from North America. Now you can see like the monthly user is already like more than 1,000, but it's just a start. Like we haven't, applied all the growth techniques into this product. It will be huge in a few couple months.
yeah, absolutely. So we see the user growth just in the past 30 days, very organically. As Rylan said, we're going to add a lot of marketing to this to attract, university students or just IoT enthusiasts. So a lot more developments with VitaMart will be coming very soon. Along with VitaMart, something that I think many delegates have already taken advantage of is the VitaBot. Basically, VitaBot is a bot that we created on Telegram and Discord, and it supports IoTeX and native IoTeX and Vita tipping. So, if, for example, you can tip users directly, Vita, and the Vita bot will basically process a real on-chain transaction to transfer tokens. So you can also issue what's called Vita Drop. You can host your own airdrop. We see, many delegates hosting their own airdrops, whether it's in the IoTeX Telegram group or they've added VitaBot to their own Telegram group or Discord groups. So that's definitely an interesting option. It's free to use, and all you have to do is invite VitaBot into your delegate Telegram or Discord channel to use it. So all the instructions, you can just send a private message to VitaBot on Telegram or Discord. So, it's a great way to reward conversation in the groups, reward people that vote for you in unique ways. So hopefully we see more and more people begin to tip and be tipped with VitaBot. And finally, the last kind of foundation sponsored DApp/tool is what we call Code Labs. So Code Labs is basically a tutorial for different types of developer experiences. So this example we have here is how to create a simple rock, paper, scissors DApp. So kind of walked you through the entire process. We also have other code labs for node operation, smart contract deployment, simple DApp development, and more coming soon. We even have some delegate and community sponsored ones. For example, IoTeX Lab, I think, has contributed some things around IoT hardware integration. So if you guys have any ideas or things you want to share via Code Labs, definitely feel free to submit a request, or we can help you to plug it into Code Labs. Basically, these are guides, tutorials to provide hands-on experience for both new and experienced developers, and walks you through building simple applications. So definitely check out Code Labs. I'll give you a little preview here. It's an interesting thing. So we have, I think, 4 Code Labs set up here. Contribution guide to smart contracts, setting up a full node, building a simple DApp. So in the future, we hope to grow this and welcome more developers into the IoTeX network. So that's all for the IoTeX Foundation DApps. Now I want to talk a little bit about some community DApps that we have going on. So one of them is called Bean Count. This is actually a very interesting kind of DeFi accounting tool that's built on the IoTeX blockchain. Basically, it's an online double entry accounting tool to help you live a better financial life. It records financial transactions in text files and visualizes them into financial statements, whether it's an income statement, balance sheet, a trial balance, and more. You can see a little snapshot here. It's basically a way to manage your finances in a decentralized way. And best of all, the native IoTeX token is used as a utility token in Bean Count. So you can pay in IoTeX in exchange for Bean Count credits. So here's the website associated with it. If you want to learn more about it, definitely check out this website here, and you can start to sign up and play around with it for free. So this is a very exciting kind of interesting tool that's being built on the IoTeX network. The next one is Siski. Siski is a decentralized and peer-to-peer flight status prediction market. So this is actually very interesting. Rowland and I were in New York recently for some business, and we were able to use this kind of flight market prediction app because it was raining heavily in New York. And this is trying to disrupt the traditional flight insurance industry where you pay $15 for flight insurance. But this is more of a predictable one. It's not really about canceled flights, but if you have a delayed flight, you get some type of payback. So whether you're using it for insurance or using it for just kind of betting on the status of flights is very interesting. So with this, you can buy and sell contracts basically to bet on the status of airline flights. So Rowland made a bet that his flight would be delayed more than 1 hour, and it was, and he got an instant payback related to that. So it's already fully functioning. It's very interesting. Security is provided by smart contracts. It's auto claim settlement and better prices that ultimately disintermediate the flight insurance market and allow you to go direct peer-to-peer. So this is already live for testing. We have a YouTube video tutorial here developed by the creator and also the smart contracts open source. So definitely check out siski.io. I'll give you a little preview of the website here. So for all the information, definitely, and to download the application and learn more, definitely check out Siski. The next one is a betting game called Trust Dice. So Trust Dice has been launched on several networks so far. It's a very popular decentralized betting game. Basically uses blockchain for fairness and randomness. So this is something that, if you guys are interested in developing betting apps or playing betting apps, you can check this out. It's fully integrated with IoTeX and Beta now. And on other networks, already 68 million USD of cryptocurrencies have been wagered on Trust Dice, which is interesting. So definitely check out Trust Dice. Another betting game is Bet IoTeX, which is kind of an online betting game rewarding fair gaming for the IoTeX community. You may have recognized this from, again, other networks such as Tron, but this is now fully integrated with IoTeX, and they also have an interesting staking mechanism to build different crypto economics on top of Bet IoTeX. So they have several different games. One is called Poker Dice. So definitely check this out if that's of interest to you. And some things that aren't listed on here, things that are still very much in production. We're getting a lot of traction from developers reaching out to us, not just for blockchain and IoT dApps, but also DeFi and also a lot of other kind of categories. Again, if you guys are interested in building anything on IoTeX, just let us know, and we can kind of walk you through the process. But exciting to see a lot of interesting activities going on in the IoTeX network, both at the blockchain infrastructure level with mainnet beta, and also the blockchain dApp level with all these great foundation and community dApps. So the next topic we want to chat about is the Trusted IoT Alliance and IoTeX. So before we dive into some of the major releases that we have going on in Q4 and Q1, we want to just walk you guys through this Trusted IoT Alliance work that we've been doing. So just yesterday, we got some great news from Trusted IoT Alliance. So this is something that we've been working on with them. It's basically a reference architecture to help blockchain and IoT developers get started, right? It's more of a guidance document and basically follows the way the IoTeX network is constructed. So as you can see here, this is from the Trusted IoT Alliance newsletter from yesterday, basically stating that with input and guidance, IoTeX has proposed a draft document to extend the Toyota reference architecture. And what's even better is this document is also being submitted to the Industrial Internet Consortium, the IIC, which is a consortium of some of the world's largest IoT companies. Huawei, Bosch, Cisco, etc., are all founding members of this organization. And our reference architecture is going to make its way into both Trusted IoT Alliance and the IIC. So basically using it as a foundational starting point and soliciting feedback from other members to contribute to the reference architecture. The draft document should be available for review. If you are very interested, you can reach out to me. I'm not sure if we are able to publish it publicly yet, but if you want a sneak peek, definitely. Oh, actually, I've already included it here. So yeah, you can definitely check out the reference architecture for yourself. This is in PDF form, but basically walks through a few sections, right? Reference architecture overview, which basically outlines the way data is passed from the asset to the IoT cloud and then to the blockchain. And we also dive deep into, you know, what the asset layer means, what the IoT cloud layer means, what the blockchain layer means, and then also different integration patterns. So one is from asset to IoT cloud to blockchain. Basically, this is for kind of IoT devices that have stronger battery life and connectivity, can talk directly with the cloud, or you could kind of go from asset to gateway to IoT cloud to blockchain, asset to gateway to blockchain directly, or asset to blockchain directly. So a lot of different examples of where this can be used. So this is a great kind of document that outlines kind of the different layers of the blockchain and IoT tech stack and different ways that it's used. So this is just a starting point. We also talk about the trusted asset lifecycle. So all the way from provisioning your devices to tracing the data from the devices, including chain of custody, usage tracing, external events and structural changes, and then finally decommissioning of the IoT devices. So this is more about the IoT data and device lifecycle. So it's just additional guidance there. And then finally, we talk about some smart contract integration patterns. So exactly how smart contracts are used at the blockchain layer to trigger different IoT events, create new ledger entries, etc. So that's kind of the document for now. We expect many contributors to kind of beefing up this, and we will also provide more details on these various sections. So definitely check out this document in its draft form and expect to see this document on future. We're trying to basically standardize this and set this as official guidance for a lot of different consortiums and groups out there. We already walked through this a little bit. It's just the reference architecture from asset to cloud to blockchain. So this is something that is very interesting. Definitely check it out. The last thing we wanted to mention around the Trusted IoT Alliance is, you know, they have a lot of different initiatives with different challenges or different worldwide groups. Basically, the challenges are sponsored by different corporations. You know, they have a smart buildings challenge. They have other types of things. Generally, these are about 6 to 9 month challenges, which we plan to also participate in the future. But I think right now, given the amount of work, we're focusing on some internal initiatives. But one kind of support function we are managing with Trusted IoT Alliance is participation in this World Economic Forum supply chain initiative. So basically, we've been working with representatives from World Economic Forum, Trusted IoT Alliance, major corporations, and blockchain at Berkeley, and all these kind of entities to basically contribute to this this document about redesigning trust using blockchain for supply chains. Basically, what we've done is we've contributed to the data trustworthiness section. So talking about blockchain oracles, talking about data provenance, talking about different types of secure hardware that can enable new track and trace capabilities. So this is exciting. We should see the draft sometime in mid-November. So we will definitely share that with the group once it's ready. And so, the last thing we wanted to talk about is upcoming releases. So, just looking back since mainnet alpha in April, everything's been moving very fast. We've been discussing kind of the new vision for IoTeX, which is all about this concept of Internet of Trusted Things. So just to walk through that a little bit, right? What does Internet of Trusted Things really mean? So basically, IoTeX is now using blockchain definitely as an important foundation for the entire network. It's the root of trust and the root of decentralization for the entire network. But we're also starting to think about other enabling technologies and other enabling tools that could be used on top of blockchain to make our vision of blockchain and IoT a reality. So a few things that are required for that are definitely secure hardware, and definitely decentralized identity, and more work on data services. So, just to go back to kind of this diagram around all these different components of the IoTeX network. So blockchain serves as the foundation. It's important to, for us to not think about blockchain as the solution for everything, right? Blockchain is obviously extremely important for IoTeX because decentralization is a guiding principle of ours. But using blockchain to do everything is kind of old news these days, right? I think using blockchain as the silver bullet to solve all of IoT's problems is not the solution, but rather using blockchain as the foundation so everything in the network can be trusted. There's no centralization. Everything is kind of managed in that way is extremely important. But what is built on top of blockchain is also extremely important. So as you know, we've been talking a lot about secure hardware, both in the form of different types of edge devices and also Intel SGX servers, basically extending trust, not just from the back end, which is blockchain, but extending trust also to the edge. So whether it's a camera, a light bulb, a security camera, a vehicle, we want to build secure hardware into that so that the chain of trust starts all the way from the devices. And also we have a lot of data services work, kind of combining IoT cloud to the blockchain. So a lot of the data, the streaming data, is stored on cloud, but is rooted onto the blockchain, is hashed onto the blockchain to define ownership and to establish the tamper-proof nature of the data. And what do these things kind of combine into, right? We have a lot of these different products or foundational products that we're offering. So one of them is decentralized identity, DID. This is actually a very big part of IoTex's future. It's the source of a kind of identity within the network, but it also allows you to kind of have your self-sovereign data, self-sovereign identity, which means you own your data, you own your identity. And the great thing about decentralized identity and why it's so important is these identities are not managed by any central party. They're issued in a decentralized fashion. So for those that are not too familiar about DID, this is an initiative actually being run by W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium. And there's many different types of specs for DID. You see this list kind of growing every day. So, whether it's Ethereum's Uport, different types of kind of specs are being listed here. And here's ours. It's IoTeX. So this is actually fully open sourced on GitHub. So basically it provides a little bit of an outline regarding what DIDs are, why they are important, which we can also walk through a little bit. So this is developed by Xinxin and Zhifeng. So definitely check that out when you have a chance. And the other things here around trusted computing, data oracles, and data marketplaces are all things that we feel will be enabled with this Internet of Trusted Things. So jumping back to the presentation, wanted to talk about a little bit more about DID here, right? So decentralized identity is a new type of identifier, not necessarily just an identifier like an alphanumeric code, but an identity for verifiable and self-sovereign identity. So this is kind of introducing a new paradigm of not kind of centralized data management, but kind of user-centric data and identity ownership. So in summary, it's a user device centric framework where an individual, a device, or an organization is able to control its own identity attributes for data and identity ownership. So in the IoTeX network, this is especially important because we have this concept of Internet of Trusted Things, right? Basically, what the Internet of Trusted Things means is that any physical or virtual things, doesn't matter if it's a human, a machine, a business, or a DApp, they can all kind of securely exchange data and value in a peer-to-peer manner at global scale. So this is kind of characterized here where, if a human needs to transact with a machine needs to transact with a machine, or any kind of combination of these things, you kind of have to abstract identity away from the entity so that these things are on the same playing field and can kind of speak the same language. So in addition to the benefits of owning your data, owning your identity, it really fuels a lot of future interoperability in the IoTeX network. So why does this happen with DIDs, right? There's 4 basically very important characteristics. One is they're decentralized, which I think this one can't be overlooked, right? I think in the blockchain community, decentralization is kind of used as this loose term, but it's why we're all in this industry, right? This whole concept of decentralization is so important. It's basically you can issue identities without a central registration authority. So unlike the emails that you have that are issued by Google or Microsoft Outlook, Google can take those and has taken those identities away and even given it to other people, right? So that's a very interesting dynamic that you see as a consequence of centralized authorities. DIDs are registered via blockchain or other decentralized networks. So basically, you don't need permission to create your own identity on these networks, and you don't need permission to kind of build credentials around your identity and manage your data. Another thing is that they are cryptographically verifiable, which is also extremely important here. Basically associating your identity with cryptographic keys so that entities that own a specific DID can use their keys to prove ownership of this ID. A great example of this is if you are interacting with someone in a peer-to-peer manner and they say, hey, prove to me that you're really this person or this device or this business, then all it takes is a signature which is kind of like a digital signature that proves your identity that's also globally cryptographically verifiable. So much the same way that blockchain functions around self-verifying the transactions on the network, DID also accomplishes that, which is a very important characteristic of this DID tool. The next one is non-reassignable. Is permanent, persistent, and non-reassignable. This goes back to the Google example. So if I have my identity and it's Larry Peng at gmail.com and I do something bad, then they can revoke my access to Larry Peng at IoTeX at gmail.com and even give it to another person, right? You see this a lot with Twitter handles. If, for example, we stopped using IoTeX_IO, then someone else can claim that identity. So this is kind of the universal, non-reassignable nature of it. And finally, it must be resolvable. Everyone can kind of self-verify and resolve for themselves whether they trust these identities or not. So again, the IoTeX DID spec is now fully open sourced. I want to drop also one very great YouTube video that Xin delivered. Basically, we were at the IIC, Industrial Internet Consortium, Q3 member meeting, and here's Xin kind of explaining IoTeX overview for all the attendees. Basically, this is a great 30-minute piece on decentralized identity. We basically walk through a longer version of the slides that we had just mentioned, we discussed. So I'm going to drop this in the Zoom chat and also in the Discord channel here in the chat section. And basically, Xin does a great job of explaining exactly what decentralized identity is, the challenges and opportunities, what self-sovereign identity really means, kind of the development of decentralized identifiers, what exactly the syntax for DIDs is. This is more for the developer community. What these kind of DID documents really represent. Basically, in short, right, all these DIDs are registered to the IoTeX blockchain, but there's supporting documents that are linked via JSON linked documents that have a lot of components that tell you about this identity. But if you want to have someone else be able to view this, you have to authorize them to view this. So it's kind of like you own your data. You can still use all of your data, but it's kind of managed in this way. And these DID documents are stored on the cloud. So that kind of solves for a lot of the issues about storing tons of data on the blockchain, is basically relating this document, which is stored on cloud or other on-prem, to the actual decentralized identity that's stored on the blockchain. So, I won't dive too deep into this. I'll let you guys take a listen, but it's a really great presentation that Chi delivered. So with that, that's decentralized identity. We did open source this initial spec, but we are also building a very intuitive demo to showcase this technology. It should be coming out sometime in November. And finally, the last thing I'll say about DID is that there's a lot of people working on this, right? Both in the blockchain industry and outside the blockchain industry. What makes IoTex's decentralized identity unique is a lot of people are only doing this for individuals or businesses. Like IoTeX is one of the only ones to be thinking about it from a device perspective, right? How do we enable new machine economies that, without devices knowing who they are or what they can do based on these DID documents, we'll never have these machine economies. So this is very important to us. And it's not just in the blockchain space, right? One very big company that's working on this decentralized identity is Microsoft. So Microsoft has a great video explaining decentralized identity, why it's important for ownership of personal data. And you understand Microsoft is I would say not especially conservative corporation, but they are a conservative corporation, right? So for them to be putting their name on decentralized identity really highlights how important it is, right, for the future. So they have a great little white paper down here. Suggest everyone to check it out. And definitely educate yourselves on decentralized identity going forward, whether you're a developer that will be using this in future IoTeX situations, or you're just trying to follow along about the developments of the industry. I will also drop this link in the Delegates Discord channel at the end of this call. So that's decentralized identity. The other thing that we're very interested to share with you guys is UCAM and IoTeX secure hardware. So as you may have seen already, we launched a new website. It's around secure hardware. And this is an important also future part of the IoTeX network, right? Basically to explain a little bit about why we are doing these products, right? Like in the blockchain industry today, a lot of public protocols and public platforms are doing one of two things. They're either being their own VCs and kind of self-funding a lot of dApps or tools to be built, like issuing grants, doing this and that, or they're being their own best customers and kind of building their own products on top of the network. As you may have noticed, IoTeX is trying to accomplish both of those goals, but the foundation right now is very focused on the latter, building real products, not for the sake of building products, but to kind of provide a template for future developers and future businesses to understand how exactly to build revenue generating products on top of blockchain. So this comes to life with UCAM. Very soon we will be sharing a lot of details about this, but we've been talking quite a lot about UCAM. Basically all the products you see that are kind of masked here, Pebble Tracker is a kind of tracking device that does GPS, location, temperature, humidity, air quality, but motion vibration, etc. And Avo Board, which is our kind of IoT gateway and privacy engine. And finally, UCAM. The things that these devices, even though they serve different purposes, the thing that they have in common is that they adopt this principle of self-sovereign identity and self-sovereign data, right? Full data privacy and ownership using all these different IoTeX products. More specifically, these devices are built with privacy by design. You own your data. So in the context of UCam and Pebble Tracker, if you give Pebble Tracker to one of your kids, for example, then you want to make sure you are the only one with that data. And today there's a lot of terms and conditions and processes and policies that kind of try to ensure that, but it can't be fully trusted, right? So what we're doing and what we're introducing are fully trusted and fully private products that will really give you the full peace of mind of knowing that this data is only being seen by you. Especially with UCAM, that principle also carries through, right? All of the kind of video files of UCAM are immediately encrypted, and only you hold the decryption key. So if you want to pass that decryption key to another person or a service provider for them to see and use your data, then you have full control of that. But you can also choose to keep your data fully private or expose it to other people. So simply having that choice is very important and something that we are really going to be pushing forward. And we have a lot of other new products in the pipeline that kind of adopt this same principle of owning your data, but also having a great user experience. And we actually have a pretty interesting announcement. So one of these products we actually submitted, or maybe more, right? We're not exactly sure yet, but one of our products actually won a CES Innovation Award. So that's very big news, right? There's tens of thousands of products that apply for these awards, and we were selected to present and showcase, I think, one or more of these products at CES. Obviously, we have UCAM showcasing at CES 2020, but that's not. I'm not trying to walk around that. I think I think maybe more than one of these products have won that innovation award. So we're very excited for that, and should help us get some new eyeballs to our products. But that official announcement should be coming in early November, but we just share with you guys today because it's something we're very excited about. So going back to this, yeah, these kind of the qualities that I just walked through. Privacy by design. We use trusted execution environments from Intel and ARM, and also blockchain and decentralized identity. So every product that's launched in IoTeX in the future will kind of have this privacy by design. Well, the next one is owning your data. We can't really stress how important this is to the future of our vision, right? This really having the choice to keep your data fully private, share it with others, or expose it to service providers is really fitting our user-centric narrative, and also has a lot of different benefits, not just for consumers, but also for DApp developer, for hardware manufacturers. So we're getting a lot of inbound from different hardware manufacturers that want their devices to be powered by IoTeX, and currently going through the process of doing due diligence and hand selecting some great partners to really provide more templates for people to understand, how to build new products that are IoTeX powered. And finally, user-centric features. This is also very important around us wanting to not just issue privacy-enabled products, but issue privacy-enabled products that have the same or better user experience than their non-private counterparts. So that's also very important to us, is that these devices are at first private, but also very usable and a great user experience. And that's kind of all for today. One last thing is that we are going to be pretty active during SF Blockchain Week, which is happening starting this weekend and carrying through to the next weekend. So I know some of you guys may be in town. We'd love to invite all of you to join us at our kickoff party with Harmony, Matic, and Elron. We'll also have another event, I think, on Friday, November 1st. So if you guys are in town, definitely check out our Blockchain Week party. The Eventbrite link is also up right now. let's see, event, right, text, here we go. So I'll also drop this link in the Discord channel. But basically, you know, this is going to be at a very nice venue called Press Club, and it's basically a networking and a happy hour event to kick off the week. So we're very excited for this. If you guys are in town, definitely drop us a line, and we'd love to see you guys in person. With that, I think I will, you know, throw it back to Rowland for any final comments. But you know, I think overall we're very happy with the way the network is progressing very quickly. I know a lot of the things that, you know, we've been working on behind the scenes are just starting to come out, right? Decentralized identity, hardware, all these different kind of new features. So we're very excited to see that. Hopefully, we can share a lot more news with you very soon. Rowland, any final thoughts?
No, I think everything is very well presented. So from San Francisco Blockchain Week, you know, if you guys are ever in town, feel free to also come to our office if you want, right? Talk with us if you have any suggestions online or either like in person. It's super welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to recap everything we talked about, right? Everyone, please upgrade to mainnet version 0.9.1 as soon as possible. Let me change that now. If you guys are listening and reading to this, have not done it, please do it now. We talked about the mainnet beta features. Native IoTeX staking is coming soon. We'll have a tutorial about how to stake for the community, and also an official token guidance document kind of outlining what Rowland mentioned around the hybrid phase and ultimately the full native IoTeX phase. I really encourage everyone to use Hermes, right? Hermes is such a simple tool. You know, we see a lot of people, you know, distributing large blocks of rewards at any time. All you have to do with Hermes is change your rewards address to the Hermes rewards address, punch in a few entries, and it will automatically distribute rewards for you. So you don't have to worry about that entire process anymore. And you can also, yeah, really dive into that.
What about ledger support on that, on the native chain?
Oh, that's a really great question. You know, I have been like in touch with Ledger teams back in June because we already have finished our application. What's it called? Block application running on top of Ledger. Everything is running super smooth, right? The Ledger team is actually, you know, very slow. From June up to now, already 4 months is still, I think IoTeX like a wallet is still in the pipeline. Native wallet is still in the pipeline. Yeah, I keep pushing them, but I don't know like a concrete timeline for them to release the software.
Yeah, you can use it as a what is it called, a developer version application, right? No, it's like it's hard. It's kind of like listing an app on the App Store or Apple, right? It's it's going through the process of listing it as an official app, but right now, is it on GitHub, Rowland?
Yes, it's on GitHub. It's open sourced. So yeah, you can even like download and install into your Ledger in the developer mode.
Right, developer mode, right?
Right.
Here it is.
Yeah. Right.
So I will also drop this link in the Delegates Discord channel. But yeah, I think I have not yet tried this, but I will very soon. I also stake with Ledger, so it's going to be launched in developer mode. But you know, everything is ready. Again, as Rowland mentioned, just Ledger team is impossibly slow. So hopefully, we will have that going. Yeah, and then also we reviewed some dApps live on IoTeX blockchain. Definitely play around with them, download them, give us some feedback. A lot of community ones out there. You can join their Telegram groups and give them some feedback as well. Interesting work outside of IoT, Trust IoT Alliance and IIC, and finally reviewed some exciting upcoming releases. So with that, we want to thank you guys for joining. We're just at the top of the hour here. We're gonna leave this open for any questions if you guys have any more. Happy to answer anything here. But if not, feel free to drop off and we'll see you next time. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, any questions, feel free to just ask, and we'll stay on the line for some more time here. All right, guys, I actually have another call on this line, so I'm going to end this meeting. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll talk to you guys soon.